What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the live stream. If you guys are here for the first time, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, anything that you want to do. If you want to tell me, hey, I suck or whatever it may be, I'm cool with it. Whatever it may be, just let me know you're out there so we can kind of get this thing going on the road. All right. So we got some topics that we're going to talk about this week. Basically, going to talk about the end of the OTAs for the Ravens. We're going to talk about some people that like to talk about Lamar Jackson. They're basically keeping their platforms afloat because there's no football going on right now. So they got to kind of talk about certain players to keep their fan base engaged and whatnot and so forth. And then we're going to also talk about some of the outlooks for training camp coming up. Because training camp's getting ready to start. I think training camp starts on Monday or Tuesday. If anybody in the comments, you want to correct me on that, I believe it's Monday or Tuesday. And this is where the pads come on. This is where they start to put stuff together. And then we start to see some of those possibilities, some of the roles that the Ravens have for some of the fringe players. They can kind of shake out some of those roles or what the Ravens see that they can have that particular player play in throughout the season and so forth. So, and then last one, we're going to talk about I did top 5 offenses. We do top 5 defenses. The defenses was kind of harder than the offenses. So look, don't beat me up for it. They're not in any order. I just gave you the top 5, my top 5 teams that I think right now defensively, based on what they've done in the draft, what they're bringing back, and then also what moves they made in free agency or whatnot. So I picked these particular teams. And again, they're in no particular order. So again, don't beat me up. So right now we're at 8. I'm gonna let about 10 of y'all get in here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll begin our little slides and whatnot. If you got any comment, please feel free to put them down in the comments for wherever you're watching, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Please engage with me. I'm not one of those type of, if you want to call me a YouTuber or a podcaster, whatever you want to call me, I'm not one of those type. So, hey, I don't want to answer your questions. I want to answer your questions. I want to be as informative as I can be. And then also, I want to give you guys feedback if you got questions or whatnot. And make no mistake about it. Just because I coached the game of football or I've been around the game of football, I don't know everything. Believe it or not. Because I got a lot of this Ravens stuff behind me or whatever it may be, I still don't take myself as a true expert about the Ravens because, again, I'm not in the building with the Ravens. I don't know exactly what the Ravens are doing when it comes down to football operations. Okay. All right. So we're up to 10. Let me go ahead and put this banner up right quick. So, again, if you are here the first time, please feel free to smash the like button. If you want to tweet it out, you can tweet it out. If you want to say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, or this guy's the idiot, it's cool with me. No big deal. I'm not going to get upset about it. I welcome the criticism if you have any. Just don't tell me, hey, I suck. And don't give me a reason why I do suck. So, all right. So we got two, what you call them? Engraving. What's up, man? How you doing? Yes, I do have one engraving. I'm not as good as you. I'm not as developed as you, but I do have one. So, this is what I've been doing. I've been getting stuff ready to go in, and I got stuff ready to go. So, again, my thing is what I want to do is basically give you guys something a little different when it comes down to, hey, what the Ravens got and what I think that should happen and so forth and so on. All right. So, let me pull my slides up. Let me get my banners off of here. Appreciate you coming through, by the way, Engraving. Really, really good. Really good YouTuber right there, guys. It's probably the standard if you want to look at somebody and say, hey, look, this particular person is the guy to go for any kind of Ravens news or anything like that. And oh yeah, congratulations on your new member to your tribe too, Engraving. I've seen that. So, all right. So as you guys can see, this is what I do every week. I do these particular things. I basically, come up and I do, a recap of some of the stuff that went on. Again, I'm not going to talk about everything because I'm not trying to sit here and be talking to you guys for, 2.5 hours. I kind of come on here maybe 35, maybe 40 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on what I'm getting from you guys. and then I'll basically pop off of here because again, I don't have a lot of time. Once I start back coaching in my coaching season, I'm really gonna become limited on the time I have to jump on here and talk to you guys. Now I will do everything I've been doing up until this point, and I'll try and do a game preview and an after show or whatever it may be. My whole thing is basically I'm trying to give you guys something a little bit different than what we normally get when it comes down to people having rants and stuff like that. I'm probably never going to have a rant on here or anything like that. I will talk about some of the things. Again, I got to call out some of the BS that's out there. As you guys are going to see later on in some of my slides, some of the stuff that people are talking about. And I just don't agree with anything they're saying because, again, I would kind of say I'm an analytical type of person. I do use a little bit of data to kind of confirm or deny my particular points. I'm not going to just put something out there in the airways and leave it as straight opinion based. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to try and get some kind of facts to back up what I got or what I'm going to say and so forth. All right. So first things first, we're going to talk about our guy, Mike Flores, as we call it, as Lamar Jackson calls him. We're going to talk about Mike Flores. So Mike Flores had he went on this little show with Chris Sims, and they like to take shots at certain players and certain quarterbacks and so forth. And that's cool. I got it. You want to take shots at certain players or whatnot, and that's fine. My whole thing about it is don't take shots at players if you're not going to take a shot at all of them or any player and say, hey, look, how you should come about it. If a player misses OTA, shame on them and just let it be. When you come out and you corner a certain player in, if you mention them by name and you say, hey, this particular person is letting down the team or this particular person is less than because they don't go to OTAs and sit there and wait for everything or wait for the coaches and the organization to release them and go about their merry way because they don't come there and do that day in and day out. This is not a issue with them. We've seen players miss OTAs and then turn around and win the Super Bowl. We've seen players come there all the way through the OTAs and not make the playoffs. So at the end of the day, the OTAs, I'm not going to sit here and say they don't matter because I believe every chance you get to come and be around your players, you should want to do that. However, we do know things happen. We do know things are there's not a bigger intention for the veterans to come there. There's a big emphasis for the rookies to come there to kind of get acquainted with their coaches and whatnot. But if I'm already acquainted with the coaches, I'm already in the building, I'm already acquainted with the organization, the structure of practices and stuff like that. I already know how things go. Now, my head coach is telling me I don't have to be there, or the GM or whoever may be saying, hey, look, I don't have to be there or whatever it may be, and I got an excused absence. Hey, shame on you if you got to try and call that out. Because, again, you're not plugged in with that particular organization to say, okay, look, this particular player missed practice or this particular player missed the OTAs, and they're less than a leader. Or these guys not going to follow him because he missed the OTAs. That's crazy to me. So what I did right here is I basically took out 3 different examples. And they're all from different years, as you guys can see. I don't know if you can see. The very top one is Tom Brady from 2018. The middle one is Travis Kelce from this year. And then we got Stephon Diggs in 2023. So we see right now some different positions when it comes down to players missing the OTAs. And then I have a link at the bottom. There's 10 notable players. When I mean by notable players, we're talking about people that are actual good contributors to their teams missing OTAs for whatever reason there may be. Any excuse underneath the sun, the fact is they're not there. But I don't see the same energy being pushed to these exact same or these type of players the exact same way they're pushing it to Lamar Jackson. And again, I'm not sitting here saying, hey, Lamar Jackson is off the hook because he missed OTAs. I would like to have Lamar Jackson at every stinking minute of OTAs we possibly can have. However, if there's nothing of importance for the team to move forward for the regular season, and he asks his coaches, say, look, I'm not going to be there because this, and this. Okay, no harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. If my coach haven't came out and blasted me for not being there at OTAs or somebody in the building has blasted me for it, shame on anybody else that's saying, hey, look, this particular player is less than because they haven't been there or whatever it may be. So I'm going to play the audio clip. Hopefully you guys can hear it because I recorded the audio clip. I didn't think it would click and it would play here. So I'm going to try and play what he said. It's a conversation between these two guys. And the thing that irks me the most is it's not the first shot that Flores has tried to take at Lamar Jackson. And I like how Lamar Jackson just smoked him in this press conference once he got done with the game he had for that particular week. So, all right. You're friends with the other guys that you throw the football to. But at the end of the day, when you say something, they're going to do. They're going to listen. They're going to show up. You're not going to get pushback that they don't want to come to South Florida. They're going to be there because they're as committed as you are. And maybe it's my problem. Hey, we're OTAs. I know that I heard something down there. All right, so I don't know if you guys was able to hear all that. So basically, what he was basically saying was that hey, Lamar Jackson, because he missed parts of the OTAs, he shouldn't ask players to come to South Florida to run routes or get reps at wide receiver or whatever it may be. And to that, like I'm sorry, Mike Flores, but that's asinine to me. For you to sit here and say, hey, look, I'm going to hold it against somebody because they didn't show up to something that was volunteer based, and you're mad at the fact that hey, okay, you didn't show up to these volunteer type of things, so now I'm gonna hold that against you, and I'm not gonna come to work out with you. Last I checked, who's the offensive leader of this particular team? Matter of fact, you didn't even got to say offensive. Who's the face of the Ravens right now? If you think of the Baltimore Ravens right now, the person that you think of is Lamar Jackson. At the end of the day, they're going to come and go as he comes and goes when it comes down to that particular team. He has a good game. Not too many times somebody else rises to the occasion and pulls him out offensively. Defensively, yes, the defense does their thing. They come out and they do what they need to do. But at the end of the day, most of the weight that's placed on the Ravens is also placed on Lamar Jackson. So at the end of the day, if he was to say, hey, look, I need you guys to come down here to South Florida, this is what we're going to go over. We're going to work on deep passes. We're going to work on this. We're going to work on that. Because at the end of the day, you got to remember, too, what Lamar Jackson wants to work on may not be what his coaches particularly want to work on for that particular day, for that particular week. So any additional reps that you can get, why would you not want to take them with the guy that's going to be throwing you the ball? That should be common sense 101. However, it's not common sense one because you have people like this that sit back and say, hey, look, I want to take a shot at Lamar Jackson because he is less than yada, 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 and so forth. And they do stuff like this, not realizing, hey, guess what? When you say stuff like this, I have 3 examples. I'm pretty sure there's hundreds of more over the course of years of players missing OTAs. And we're talking about starters. We're not talking about backup players. We're not talking about non-contributors. We're talking about starters in this particular league missing OTAs, and almost nothing was being said. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Because again, such and such player, hey, they probably had a winning record. They probably won a Super Bowl a year prior, whatever it may be. At the end of the day, if you're going to sit there and say it's good, if this is what Lamar Jackson should be held to, I need you to hold everybody to that same type of standard. So you need to make sure you call out everybody when it comes down to them particular players missing OTAs. But I can almost guarantee you that was not the case when it came down to it. So, Mike Flores, to that particular point, man, if you're going to keep talking about Lamar, well, matter of fact, this is what I recommend you do. And if Engraving, if you're still listening, I'm sorry, but I got to do it.
You need to shut the fuck up.
That was for my boy, Mike Flores. That's what needs to happen with you, man. You just need to leave it alone. Let Lamar Jackson do what he's doing. And come the season, if you want to criticize him for some of his gameplay or whatever it may be, I got it. Whatever it may be. I just don't like the fact that, hey, you got the hypocrisy when it comes down to, hey, look, these particular players can miss something, but Lamar Jackson cannot. So, again, all right, let me check my comments right quick. All right. Okay, cool. All right, cool. All right, so again, if you're here for the first time, I see it's 25 of you guys in here. And if you're here for the first time, feel free to drop a comment. You got something you want to say, please let me know so I can make sure that, hey, look, I get you guys' questions answered as quickly as I can and as accurate as I can. All right, so moving along to the next topic, right? All right, so we completed the OTAs, and again, some of the stuff we kind of knew, and then some of the stuff we didn't know. Like for me, one of the things I like is Darius Washington coming back off his injury and basically saying, hey, look, If there's a third safety spot open, he's making it real hard for the Ravens to go out and pursue another safety. And again, I'm not saying he's better than any of those safeties that are out there in the free agency, but he's basically saying, hey, look, why go out and look for something when you already got it in the house? And if that's the guy that can step up, I would love this. I would love this because now that's letting me know that the Ravens are developing other positions just as good as they do with linebackers and defensive linemen. So if they can turn around and continue to start developing secondary plays, especially after losing their secondary coach. So they basically say, hey, look, we can turn around and develop this guy into that third safety that we need, and we don't have to go out and sign a free agent safety. I'm all over that. I would love it. I would love that because now we're saying, hey, look, we got enough what we need. We can keep our little $7 million, I think it is, that we have in cap right now. And that'll be cool because now if somebody does go down, we can use that money for a significant position versus a depth piece or an upgrade to what we already have. So the big concern right now for me, though, is Falele. Daniel Falele, everybody knows, he's the 6'8", 400-pound almost lineman that we took from Minnesota. And a lot of people said it was his conditioning, it was his weight, there's a lot of it was his technique and whatever it may be. What I would like to see is, hey, do we still see those same type of struggles with him being in pads? The answer is probably going to be more on the yes side than the no side because I can only imagine if it is a weight issue, it's just more weight to weigh you down even more. And now we're talking, hey, look, we got some significant issues that we got to try and fix before come August and September. And it may be one of those things where, hey, we talk about get with the team nutritionist and say, hey, look, we probably need to get him down to 350 or in between 330 and 350 and then see what it looks like from there. Because again, if we don't try something, I just feel like, hey, this guy's going to possibly be out of the league if we don't hurry up and try and put some kind of plan in place to where this guy can say, hey, look, we can prolong his career as much as we can, or even possibly put him in a starting position. Because again, that's what the talks were between him and Roger Rosegarden, who was going to win the right tackle, the starting right tackle spot. And as of right now, I believe Roger Rosengarten is the guy that's leading with all the reports that came out of Baltimore, basically saying, hey, look, this particular guy is the guy what we're looking for because of the struggles with Falele and so forth. The next one, Trent Simpson. I'm pretty sure everybody kind of knew, hey, this guy was a day one plug and play type of player. It was not to the point to where he was going to struggle. It was to the point to where we were going to ask him to do too much too soon. And I think not sitting here saying we did ask PQ to do too much too soon because he played on a national championship team. He was in LSU, I think 3 years he came out in his junior year. So I just felt like, hey, not having another linebacker there with him to basically say, look, all right, I'm going to take someone off your plate. And I'm not going to sit here and say any linebacker who didn't help him at all. But when it comes down to having an all-pro right next to another all-pro, that makes everything significantly easier because now you can say, hey, look, if it's time to blitz, this person can blitz, the other person can drop in coverage, or we got to both drop in coverage. I take half of the field, you take half of the field, and then you can kind of make things work out when you have that all-pro type of talent beside you like a Roquan and so forth. So Trent Simpson, I love what I've seen from him, all the highlights and so forth from some of the different content creators and the reporters that are there, the beat writers that for Baltimore. I really like what I'm seeing from him. I knew he had it in him by the couple games I watched with Clemson. It was just a matter of like, hey, okay, look, how fast or how soon can the Ravens unlock it and put him in a position to where, hey, he can have that type of role to where, hey, look, I don't have to be everything linebacker. I just got to know my role and do my role exceptionally well. And as long as I contribute to the complement the other parts of the defense, I think that spells nothing but good things for the Ravens moving forward. So the next thing about is the guards. So the guard position, like I talked a little bit about Voorhees and our depth at guard right now when it comes down to I'm getting his dog name, Patrick McCurry. We're talking about Patrick McCurry, Andre Voorhees, and then the guy we picked up from Oregon. Can't say his name. I'm not even going to attempt it. But So right now, those three guys are in the mix for our guard positions. I would like to see Tayshaun Manning get a little bit more burn. I don't know what's going on with him. I do know he's still on the team. He was a practice squad elevation, and they signed him to a reserves contract last year, at the end of last year. So I think he could possibly develop into something. So I'm going to be looking at that, his further development, to see if, hey, look, maybe not the left guard, because I'm pretty sure, Voorhees probably has that pretty locked in. Again, they're still worried about the right guard spot. And then, I forgot Ben Cleveland as well. So if we're sitting there saying, hey, look, maybe not the starters, but the second and third level of guards that we need to have, I think Tayshaun Manning should be able to crack the rotation, as well as Ben Cleveland and the young man from Oregon. Again, I'm not going to try and say his name. So it's going to get interesting, because now we're talking the team, depending on the teams we play, these particular type of players may get some burn. They may not start, but they may go in a package or two based off what the Ravens want to do and so forth. Because we do know, Patrick McCurry can play tackle or guard. We don't want him at center, but we can put him at guard or tackle, and he'll basically be able to handle his own. Now, again, this is not saying, hey, he's going to go out and be an all-pro at a guard or a tackle. They're saying, hey, okay, look, we need him for a game or two because of, hey, somebody's struggling or somebody got banged up. Patrick McCarry can be that particular player. And I think he does better when he's not in a starting role, because the immediate pressure on him is not there. So I think he comes in and, hey, look, I got a clean level-headed, a clean slate. I just come in and dominate, do what I need to do, and we'll be good to go. All right. The next one is going to be a sort of a surprise for some of the Ravens fans, but for me, it's not a surprise, because I do look at the wide receiver positions totally different than most Ravens fans or whatnot. Most of you guys want, hey, the bigger body receivers. I want the 6'5", the guys run 4.4 40s, and that thing they don't always translate, because we're talking about, hey, your hips are too stiff. We're talking about you can't get out, you can't decelerate when you need to decelerate. Can you go up and high point the ball kick? Because believe it or not, just because you're 6'5" and you're 200 pounds doesn't mean you got good high point ability. And what I mean by that, hey, look, if a guy's 6'2" and you're 6'5", hey, when you have the advantage, and how are you going to use that advantage to basically win those 50-50 balls? Because again, we have not had a good history of that over the course of the years we're looking for. We're still looking for that big body type of receiver. And if we don't get the big body type of receiver, I think this kid fits in the role of what we want when it comes down to, hey, look, I need a deep pass to get a first down, to keep a drive extended, or hey, look, I need a quick response. I think this kid brings it to us when it comes down to, hey, look, third and 10 or third and 8 or second and 15 or whatever it may be. This kid has that big play type ability, and you couple him with the Zay Flowers, who can short and intermediate, along with Rashad Bateman, because again, we don't know what Bateman's going to look like in a bigger role. So if Bateman and Zay Flowers get a bigger role, and we have three wide receivers out there, I would imagine this kid, Devontae Walker, would get some burn. And if he gets some burn, I can tell you right now, just like Steve Smith said about him, he's looking to take some reps from some people. Probably not take somebody's job and be a starter in year one, but he's definitely looking to take some reps from some people. And that's nothing against any other players that we got on the team. It's just the fact that, hey, as a coach, and I realize what this guy can bring to the table, it's hard for me not to create packages to think about said player. And that doesn't mean just because he's a rookie or because this person is a veteran or whatever it may be. As a coach, you should be able to evaluate positions within players within your position group and say, hey, look, all right, we got these particular situations. Who are the guys that can give me these things that I'm looking for in said situation? And if we're playing situational football, I know we've been in plenty of situations, Raven fans, where we needed a deep pass. We needed a deep threat. Somebody to take the pressure off of Zay Flowers. Somebody to take the double teams off of Rashad Bateman and so forth, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. So now we got another person opposite to these guys, legitimate threats. Or we got two guys on the outside that are legitimate threats. And now we got somebody that can run up the seams as a threat as well. I just think for me, we're about to create some true symphony on offense when it comes down to our passing game. And our passing game hasn't been super horrendous or anything like that. It's not like we had like a 2,000-yard passing season in the last couple of years or whatnot. We've been in the middle of the pack, a little bit better than the middle of the pack for the most part, probably top 10 in some situations. So at the end of the day, we have done what we needed to do when it comes down to progression. I just feel like, hey, in order to take the next step, consistency is what's going to matter. Getting that consistent deep ball threat, consistent passing game to where, hey, look, we don't have to have Lamar Jackson be our leading rusher and our leading passer. We can go and say, hey, look, Lamar Jackson kind of dink and dunk. Our run game can basically keep us afloat, and we walk out with a lot of wins. And then now come January, nobody has felt like, hey, they've had the burden, a bigger burden than one another. So, and then the last thing is a concern for me, probably a lot of you guys as well. I know Kyle Hamilton had some surgery. He's not a concern to me. I think it was just a routine type of thing. Some of the stuff that he had to get done, and he got it done. I think he'll be fine. And he didn't look like, hey, I was going to miss an extensive amount of time or whatnot. So I think Kyle Hamilton will turn around and come back and be his normal self. Marlon Humphreys has been the issue for me. Here's the reason why Marlon Humphrey's been the issue for me. So as years has been going on, we slowly starting to see a little bit of doubt, and not so much of his ability is about his availability, right? And so now, again, if you're not available, I can't really count on you. You know what I mean? Like, and again, we don't have a game, we don't have anything special right now. But when it comes down to these type of things, hey, look, getting the kinks out and stuff like that, I do know playing defensive back or in the secondary, the more reps, the better. More reps, the better, because now stuff becomes, hey, second nature to you. Not sitting there saying, hey, not Lamar, but Marlon Humphrey needs more reps or whatever it may be. I am sitting there saying that, hey, look, some of the kinks need to be worked out. Whether it's his flexibility, his hips, his feet, his ankles, whatever it may be, whatever it is that he needs to work on to get himself loose and to say, hey, look, I need to get back to where, hey, look, probably change my diet. I need to get to the point to where, hey, look, I'm not missing games for a long period of time. Because if you go out 4 or 5 games every year, we're back in this same situation with the Marcus Peters. When we had Marcus Peters on the roster, hey, Marcus Peters missed 4 or 5 games. Now we're like, hey, man, wait a minute, bro, we just signed you for this particular deal. And then I got it. It may not be no substantial money for Marcus Peters, but we're missing them 3 or 4 games, especially if we start to play some of the teams that are more pass heavy. Now we're talking, hey, you putting us in a disadvantage because of, hey, preparation, diet. It could have been something that they worked on in the off season, whatever. It's feeling like, hey, okay, look, Marlon Humphrey, we need you as close to 100% as we can get. If we can't get you at 100%, hey, I would definitely take you at 85, at 75, whatever it may be. I can't go have you limping into training camp when we know for a fact what's at stake. We definitely need Marlon Humphrey, opposite side of Brandon Stevens, Williams, all those guys that we have. Marcus Williams in the safety, Kyle Hamilton. We need you in that secondary, because if we don't, now we're talking, hey, look, we got to put somebody out there to say, hey, look, we're going to throw you in the fire, and we got to hope that you're going to basically respond to being in that particular fire. So if I got, all right, so no questions? Cool. All right, so moving on to the next topic. So we're going to go to, all right. All right, so the next topic would be we're going to talk about the quarterback market, right? So I know you guys probably seen, hey, Trevor Lawrence getting paid, and a lot of people want to say he trash, he shouldn't have never got paid this, should never got done this, or whatever it may be. But I can tell you guys right now, like when we say things like that, right? Like why though? Why? Because again, everybody that has gotten paid hasn't won a Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is quote unquote, some people say it's worth it to pay a quarterback, right? I don't like that mentality, because again, there can only be one Super Bowl winner quarterback every year. And then, to be honest with you, that quarterback may get injured along the way, and it'd be a whole nother complete different quarterback that actually win the Super Bowl. Case in point, the Philadelphia Eagles. One quarterback takes them through the season or some parts of the season, and then a different quarterback comes in and wins the Super Bowl for them. So now do you feel like, hey, okay, look, we overpaid for this quarterback. We should have paid this guy to actually won the Super Bowl. I just don't agree with it. So for me, I think we should look at it like this, right? When it comes down to this quarterback, we're talking about his ability, his availability, and what has he done in our uniform. And it doesn't have to be the Super Bowl. It doesn't have to be, hey, look, he's undefeated in the playoffs or whatever it may be. I look at it like, hey, I got a certain offense that I want to run. Is he one of the top whatever guys available within the free agency or the draft? Is he one of those guys that can get me to where I want to be? When it comes down to executing on third down, being able to win game, having fourth quarter comebacks, having closeout games. Can that particular person lead me down the field when I need 3 points to win the game and not go to overtime? Can they lead me in overtime and win the game without turning the ball over and so forth? I think those are the type of things that should be looked at when people say, hey, this particular player is worth it versus this player is not worth it. I can't sit here and say definitively right now Trevor Lawrence was worth it. Here's the reason why. Now that he has gotten paid, his play should elevate a little bit different than where he was. Some stuff he was in the bottom of the pack. Some stuff he was kind of in the middle of the pack. He was probably never top 5 in most of the stuff, most of the normal or major QB categories. So I can't sit here and say, look, he is justified to get top money because of this. I can't sit here and say that. However, I do know if he was to go out and have a 4,040 plus touchdown year, now a lot of that criticism goes away. And now we look like crazy. We look like Mike Flores talking and say, hey, this man shouldn't have got paid when we don't know what the future holds for him. Now, we've also looked on the other side of this to where you look at a player like Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins has awesome regular season stats, sometimes to the point to where, hey, me as a person that watches the game, I'm like, man, there's no way this dude can't be getting some kind of MVP considerations. But then guess what? He 1-4 in the playoffs. He hasn't made the playoffs every year. So do we judge him and say, hey, look, all right, man, you shouldn't be getting paid like this because of your playoff experience or because of the lack of your playoff productivity? So when you say certain things like that, you got to kind of know, hey, look, all right, I'm not going to totally kill the particular player, but I am going to sit and say, look, if they put him in the situation to win games, they put him in the situation to go out and throw for 400 or 300 yards a game or whatever, maybe or get close to it, then I would say, okay, look, all right, this guy's been put in the situation with X, Y, and Z, and he's not came across the line where he's supposed to come across the line with. And if that is the case, then I can sit and say, all right, beyond the shadow of a doubt, this particular quarterback was not worth it, and so forth, and they should get a refund. That's the only time I should be able to sit and say, look, this particular. Now, if you look at his supporting cast, he has had a good supporting cast. Last year, I think last year was probably his best supporting cast since he's been there. Probably a little shaky in some of the running back stuff that they were doing because I think Etienne wasn't available certain parts of the season. I don't think Tank Bigsby has translated in, and they can move together as a good 1-2 punch. And when it comes down to the Jacksonville Jaguars offense and whatnot. So, but if you look at this particular thing, this slide that I have here. So we're talking about the QB market, right? QB market for 2025. We're talking about some of the players that's available, that will be available come next year. Right now, Jordan Love hasn't been extended. And then again, if I'm wrong on any of this, please let me know because I just pulled this off the website Spot Track. So Dak Prescott is slated to be a free agent next year. Jordan Love will be a free agent. But are we going to sit here? It's not worth it. A player like Jordan Love is not worth it. A player like Dak Prescott is not worth it because they don't make it to the Super Bowl. I just think that's a lot to put on a player just because they got paid. When it comes down to like I got it, I understand. Hey, look, I want to pay the guy. I have to pay the guy, whatever it may be. But you got to understand, as you're going to see on the next slide, there's not a lot of replacement when it comes down to replacement value coming to coming into the league. So if that is the case, I'm not going to get rid of a Dak Prescott hoping that I can get Shedeur Sanders next year, because then that will require me to tank, right? And then, if I'm going to tank, how early on do I need to tank? And then if I tank, how many players am I going to upset before the trade deadline? If people think I'm tanking, you upset the wrong player. Now you end up losing a player like a Micah Parsons. And I'm using Dallas as an example. Don't beat me up, Cowboy fans. So if you say, hey, I'm not going to pay Dak Prescott, I'm going to let him walk in free agency. But then you say, hey, look, I'm trying to get Shedeur Sanders. And again, I'm not saying Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback that's coming out, or he's going to be the top quarterback pick, or whatever it may be. I'm saying, hey, that's a particular player that you try and tank for. And if you try and tank for this particular player, who do you upset along the way? And if you upset these players along the way, these players come to you in week 6 and say, hey, I want to be traded. Now what? Yeah, you can say, hey, I don't want to trade him, but now you have issues within your particular organization that certain player is mad because you tanked, and we didn't think we should have tanked. We think we got a legitimate shot at making a deep playoff run because you want a certain quarterback. Now you had to tank. Now you upset half of your defense or even your offense. Imagine if you upset CD Lamb. If you upset CD Lamb and CD Lamb, like, look, I don't want to be here no more. Now you run the risk of losing your quarterback and your wide receiver, top wide receiver, and now you basically say, I got to replace both of those guys come the draft next year. I just think it's a tall task to ask, basically saying, look, I'm not paying these guys. When you play hardball with them, to know quarterback is a premium position. You can't turn around and say, look, all right, I want this person out, or I don't want to pay this person, and then now I'm going to turn around and try and find the same type of level quarterback, when it comes down to their production as a Dak Prescott, as a Tua, as a Jordan Love. I don't know if those guys are going to translate to that at the next level. Just because they did it in college doesn't mean they're going to translate to the NFL. So I just think you're playing hardball. When you play hardball like that, 9 times out of 10, you don't win. You don't win when you do stuff like that. So again, the quarterback market is what it is, right? And we're going to see some of these guys' particular market value as of right now. So all right. So as you see right here, right, the very top, right, very top is Justin Fields. QB value is not as high as the other ones, but if people is viewing Justin Fields as a starter, and I got it, some people say, man, there's no way, coach. How are you talking about Justin Fields as a starter right now? And I will tell you, look, somebody will take him and say, look, I believe I can put some pieces around him and we can be serviceable as an offense. Is he going to be a 5,000 yard, 50 touchdown guy? Probably not. But can he go and take over a game or put me in a game? I get a couple of defensive stops and lead my particular team to victories week in and week out? Absolutely. If I believe I can do that, then, hey, there he has that particular market. And then again, at the end of the day, if it's a starter, the starter QB market is the starter QB market. If we view this guy as a starter, which he was in Chicago, this is what his market is. It's estimated, but this is what it is. As you see with Jordan Love, I think Jordan Love is, especially with QB with Lawrence getting paid, I believe Jordan Love number is going to probably move closer to 50 million, if not 50 million plus. I just think it's going to change because he had some success in the playoffs. And if I'm his agent, I'm going to Green Bay Packers, and we're going to talk about this, basically saying, look, I have achieved more than all 3 of these guys on this particular graphic. And then I can turn around and say, look, okay, I've also achieved more than what Trevor Lawrence has done. So now, hey, I want his money. I want his money or close to it. Period, point blank. That's how it works. So when it comes down to it, we can't get into our feelings of basically saying, hey, this quarterback, should get it or shouldn't get it, because you compare it to some of the guys that you are basically in the same class with or the same position. And you basically compare with these guys, and then if you have done a little bit more and you got something that you can hang your hat on, then guess what? Hey, you go there to them and you tell them exactly how you're feeling, agent-wise, right? Your agent is there to do that. And I just feel like, hey, if you're looking at these particular numbers, I know fans are going to be outraged saying, hey, there's no way Dak Prescott is worth almost $51 million a year. It just, I don't believe it. And I will tell you again, if you don't have a viable replacement for Dak Prescott to get you to where Dak Prescott was and a little bit further beyond that, then guess what? He's probably going to get paid what he needs to get paid. Even if the Cowboys don't want to do it, there will be somebody else that'll give him close to that, if not more, because they believe, hey, look, Dak Prescott, we're going to probably coach him a little bit different. We're probably going to put him in a different type of offense, and he's not going to be asked to do X, Y, Z. And then again, I'm just saying this just for an example. I'm not saying Dallas is asking too much of Dak Prescott. I'm just sitting there saying, hey, look, if these particular things happen and these particular guys go into certain spots to where, hey, look, all right, it's getting to a point where I'm not going to re-sign, somebody will sign Dak Prescott. I can tell you that for sure. Somebody will sign Dak Prescott or Tua if they don't get. And I can tell you right now, it's just a matter of time before Jordan Love's extended. Green Bay Packers are probably going to extend it. Same thing with Tua. Tua is probably going to get re-signed because, again, if you got your star players coming out saying, hey, this is one of the most accurate quarterbacks I've ever played with, then look, he's probably going to warrant something, especially with the new additions that they have, the new additions that they got. I think those new additions will probably help them out in the receiving room, along with their run game. So if everything goes well, they stay healthy, I think Miami should be right in the thick of things. And if they're right in the thick of things like Tua, I think Tua gets extended. So, all right. So let me check any comments. Okay, no comment. All right. So again, if you guys are watching, it's 37 of you guys are here now. So between the 37 of you guys, if it's your first time, please make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever it is that you want. If you like some of the stuff you see and you got any kind of questions, please feel free to ask any kind of questions so I can answer them before we end the stream. So, all right. Moving on. All right, so this right here is my bread and butter. This is what I really, really like. As being a coach, I like to see the transition from one level to the next level. As we see right now, and this right here, this could change come season end. Shedeur Sanders may not be top 10. I don't know. I have no idea. Right now, he's the top rated quarterback that's in this class that's coming up. I will tell you, just because you're rated the top quarterback or you're number 5 quarterback doesn't mean that you won't go first overall, because we don't know who's going to have the top pick. We don't know if that particular top pick needs a quarterback or that top team needs a quarterback. So if it ends up, let's say it's a team like the Bears, right? They're probably not going to take another quarterback. So again, when it comes down to it, it doesn't mean that, hey, this particular quarterback is less than. It just means that, hey, we're not a quarterback needy team. So with that being said, I just think, you got to look at, say, hey, look, the skill set matters. The type of offense they've been in matters. The coaching, the years they've been there in that system, all that stuff matters. Because, again, if you take a player, let's say a dual threat player like let's say Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. If you take Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss and you say, look, I want to put him in a system, and I don't know, let's see a team that needs a quarterback. Let's say Oakland, not Oakland, but Las Vegas Raiders. Let's say Las Vegas Raiders, right? But they say, hey, look, we don't want to run our quarterback whatsoever. Does that limit a player like Jackson Dart in their system, right? So those are the type of things that you got to look at before you sit here and say, hey, look, there's a plug and play type of system. It's not. It doesn't work like that way. So you got to kind of get the player that fits what it is that you want as an offensive coordinator, as a head coach, and as an organization, and can I put him in my system? And now he gets my system, and now we can push forward all together, and it's not too much for my quarterback to grasp too early on. So with that being said, again, these are some of the ranking quarterbacks. The top 10 is all I did. And again, these rankings will definitely change throughout the season, because everybody's not going to finish in the top 10 when it comes down to their record. We're talking about their stats. We're talking about, the games that they play, so forth and so on. Some of these guys may get injured. We don't know any of that. So, but just looking at it, we do have I wouldn't say it's a strong quarterback class. It's not super weak, but I would say it's probably average, a little bit above average, right? When it comes down to the quarterback with the big arms, big type of playability and so forth. I just don't see too many of these guys basically saying, look, all right, we're gonna come out, we're gonna light the league up. Even with Shador come out, when he comes out, he has to be put in the right spot, the right system. And even then, with the right spot and the right system, does that mean he needs to start right off rip? I don't think he needs to. I don't trust me. There's not too many quarterbacks that I've said, hey, look, they come out of college, they're pro ready. I don't like when Mel Kiper and Todd McShay and all the other draft experts say this particular guy is the pro ready or most pro ready or whatever it may be. We don't know the situation they're going to be put in. So with that being said, I don't want to put too much on any of these particular quarterbacks. I just would sit here and say, hey, look, if this particular person came into my system, I had a chance to develop him for 2 years or 18 months or whatever it may be, then I think that particular player would be ready. Because being honest with you, if you look at the Jordan Love situation, Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers for, I want to say 5 or 6 years or whatever it may be. And then, when he got his chance to go, he took off. Now, if you look at all the other stuff, you will miss that what the Green Bay Packers did. Green Bay Packers revamped their entire wide receiver room, upgraded the offensive line, had a top 10 defense at one particular point. So again, they put a lot of different pieces in place while Jordan Love was getting ready to take over the reins from Aaron Rodgers. Most teams don't have that luxury. Just being honest with you, most teams just don't have their quarterback that's going to sit there and say, hey, look, all right, I'm gonna keep you guys afloat until this young guy is ready. Just not gonna happen. So, all right. So let me see. Any questions or anything? Nope, no questions. Awesome. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next slide. All right, so this right here is what I was talking about. My defenses, my top 5 defensive groups. And when I'm talking about defensive groups, I'm talking about, from front to back, front 7 to the secondary and whatnot, safety help. I'm talking about all that good stuff. So yeah, I got it. Some people may have some issues with what it is I put on here. How could you put a AFC North rival on here or whatever it may be? Look, I speak as objective as I can possibly speak when it comes down to giving teams their credit or giving personnel their credit and so forth. And for me, it would just be, it would not be something that I'll be conscious with, basically saying, hey, look, this particular team is the best beyond a shadow of a doubt, while this other team sucks or whatever it may be, and no other teams can compare to this top team or whatnot. That for me, that would be foolish to do. So for me, I looked at, hey, linebackers, defensive linemen. I looked at, the help that they have, the depth pieces that they come out. I also looked at how long they. A lot of this stuff, if you guys want to come after me and say in the comments and say, hey, I just don't think, Cleveland is a top 5 defense or San Francisco is a top 5 defense or whatever it may be. And that's fine. You got your own opinion. But we look at statistical data. These have been the teams that have been in the top in the running for top 5 defenses for the most part. Based on all the additions that the Jets have had defensively, I just feel like you add a player like Hassan Reddick, you already have your linebackers that you have. They're coming back healthy. You got your secondary players that you have between Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, and you have. I just think these guys are going to continue to do what they need to do. The thing that can hurt the Jets' ranking is if their offense doesn't come to play. Because again, if their offense is mediocre, now that puts more pressure on the defense. And I just think, again, the average amount of plays for the NFL a game is 62. When you start to creep into the 80s or offensive plays, now we're talking, hey, mental errors start to happen, fatigue starts to set in, injuries start to happen, so forth and so on. And now your defense can no longer play a clean game week in and week out. So I just feel like if the pressure is taken off the defense early on, I just think that keeps them fresher for longer, and they'll basically be able to live up to their true potential. Same thing with the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns, it was times their defense would come out to play, and then there's also times that, hey, their quarterbacks, were struggling. And I got it, they had some injuries or whatever it may be. But the key to Cleveland Browns is going to be their run game. What is their run game going to look like without Chubb there, and how long is it going to take for to get Chubb back? I would hope they wouldn't rush him back. Don't rush him back because we feel like, hey, we get close to winning the division or competing for the division or getting the number 2 spot or getting the number 1 spot or whatever it may be. Take your time, Do what you got to do to get this guy 100%. I'm sorry, you can't be 100%, but as close to 100% as you can get him, to where now when the playoffs come, you have some particular asset to take away the pressure from your quarterback. Because if you have all that pressure on your quarterback, we've seen what happens when you put that pressure on your quarterback and there's nobody else to help him. And then against some of the guys that they have on their team as running back, but I just think Nick Chubb is a different level. He's a different level when it comes down to, hey, look, me as a defensive coordinator, I got a plan for Nick Chubb. I don't have to really plan for Flores. I don't have to plan for Jerome, any of those guys. I don't have to plan for those guys. Those guys are decent backs, right? But they're not Nick Chubb. They're not Nick Chubb, a guy that can take it and run over my guy, run past my guy, and hit his head on the goalpost. They're just not going to. They're not those type of running backs. Next thing it'd be the Pittsburgh Steelers. And again, look, I'm kind of salty about the whole situation. A certain linebacker left and went over there, but it's business. At the end of the day, but they are a hell of a unit. They are a hell of a unit when it comes down to their defense and what they do. They don't put their guys out there in situations where, hey, look, I need you to go out here and get me 8 interceptions. I need you here and from the linebacker position to go get me 15 sacks or whatever it may be. They put all that pressure on their front four. They put that pressure on their front four, and that's pretty much it when it comes down to the pressure. The biggest thing that you'll probably have to do in their particular unit is basically every now and again, you may have to go up the field to cover somebody, or you may have to come down and help with a missed tackle or whatever it may be. But for the most part, everybody got their roles carved out, and the unit flows as the sacks happen or the sacks doesn't happen or whatever it may be. The thing that gets them in trouble is when, again, their offense doesn't click, just like with the Jets and with the Browns. If their offense doesn't click, their defense is just not going to say, hey, look, we're going to stay out here for 85 plays, and we're going to basically be able to continue to do what we've been doing. And as their defense starts to fold, now Pittsburgh starts to look totally different. And then the other thing is they can't afford too many injuries. Just like most defenses can't afford significant injuries. But if they start to get too many dinged up players, now that changes the face of that particular defense. So, and then the Baltimore Ravens. Again, they're a pretty complete defense when it comes down to they don't have anything like, hey, okay, we don't have 20 sacks a year guys. We don't have, linebackers that are going to go get 5 interceptions and 10 sacks. We don't have that. But we do have guys that play good complementary football, and we have that can affect the game or influence the game. Whether it be safety, whether it be linebacker, or whether it be defensive lineman, we got guys that can influence the game and affect the outcome. So with that being said, I feel like, hey, the key to the Ravens being a top 5 defense or staying a top 5 defense would not only just be the turnovers, but it would be, can we get closer to the 60 sacks again? I know we probably won't get 60 again, but if we can get in the rim of 45 or more, I think, hey, okay, look, now we start to capitalize on those things. The one thing I would like to see with our defense a lot more of is we got to get back to putting the ball in the end zone as a defense. I just felt like too many times we get the turnover and then we kind of just like, all right, we don't look that fancy. We're cool with, getting the turnover, and then that's it. We go take our little pictures in the end zone and then we're done. No, man, I need somebody to transform to Ed Reed type of ability. Not saying that they are, but hey, the ability is saying, hey, look, I need to get these points. I want to get these points because I want to put this game out of reach and whatnot. And then the last defense would be the San Francisco 49ers. Again, had a decent draft. It's the same thing with the Ravens. Okay, you have to sit here and say, look, we got to play good complementary football. Probably have one of the better duos, probably top 3 duos and linebackers in the league when it comes down to it. So for me, I want to see those guys continue to do what they've been doing, but I need everybody else to come to the party. There was a time last year where people were calling up San Francisco's secondary. I don't want to see that this year. If we see that this year, now we're talking, hey, that puts more pressure on the offense. If our defense can't stop anybody, that means I need Brock Purdy. You got to go give me 28 points a game. That's a lot to ask of offense. That's a lot. I got it. Sometimes you do have it going you have it going, and 28 points may seem like it's nothing, but there are going to be some times to where coaches have game planned you. They have wrote out your tendencies. They kind of know what you want to do, and they say, "Look, we're going to take away number one and number two. Your number one and your number two options. Now you got to have some unsung hero that you haven't game planned with, and he got to be the one that beat us. That third receiver or that tight end, they got to be the one that beat us. Or that second running back, second running back that comes in because such and such got injured, he got to be the one that beat us. So again, if San Francisco get puts in that situation, I just don't know if they overcome it like they've done in the past. Because again, for the most part, their defense was sound, even with their secondary being a little weak, a little shaken. I just think right now, if they get in that situation again, I don't know if Brock Purdy can turn around and have that same magic that he's had in the past. But I will tell you, this may change a lot because if they get rid of a Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, now we're talking about, hey, look, the pressure is on them. Not so much of replacing because I think Ricky Pearsall can come in and do what he needs to do. But what we're talking about is, hey, look, if I lose an Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, are teams really going to game plan for Ricky Pearsall? Or are you guys going to really put Ricky Pearsall in a situation to where he can influence the game offensively, like a Deebo Samuel, like a Brandon Ayuk? And again, I'm not saying give him 10 touches, 5 to 7 touches a game to say, all right, look, okay, when you guys come to play us, you got a game plan for this rookie. So now, hey, look, wait a minute, we won't have a lot of tape on that guy. So with that being said, that may work in your favor. But if you have no plan for him, now we're talking, hey, week 8 to 12, by the time you catch up, saying, hey, putting this guy in a situation to influence the offense to where, hey, he can help us win games. By then, are you out of the running for the top seed? Or you're in the running for the top seed and you lose it because you don't have a plan with this particular player in your offense to get them the ball and so forth and so on. So, all right. So we don't have any questions or whatnot. So I'm going to basically look over here, see if any kind of comments are here. If we don't have any, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up because, again, like I said, I don't want to be on here too long, talking too long for you guys. I know you guys got to get ready for work and stuff like that tomorrow. All right. Let me check. All right. So before we go, if you haven't already, feel free to drop me a comment or whatever it may be. If you got any kind of pointers or whatever, something that you want to see, feel free to let me know. I want to try and make these things as best as I can, so as interactive as I can. Probably next week, I'm gonna have a game on something to where you guys got to name a player or whatever it may be or something like that. So. All right, so no questions. I appreciate you guys for all the support that you've been giving me, all the love. It helps me out a lot. So if you haven't, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, that as they say. And then we'll see you guys in the next one. So I'm 2 questions that comes up. If there's no questions, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off of here. All right, cool. All right, man. We'll see y'all. Thank y'all again, and peace.